Welcome to Empower Hour. Let's get growing. Good morning, everybody. Coming to you live from Miami this morning. Good morning, LinkedIn. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Instagram. I'm a little tired, but also so energized. After being on the beach for 2.5 months, I'm here in Miami with clients that have so much energy. Of course, they're a little younger than me, but they live this amazing Miami lifestyle, and I've been entrenched in it for, I guess, the last 36 hours, having a ton of fun and doing just some amazing work with really powerful people. Thank you, Physical Therapy Now, for hosting me and spoiling me. Yenny and Andy, you guys are the best. And my guest, as we were chatting earlier, was like, you should have done this another time. And no, we just stay consistent. We come. And then we're talking about having hardwire and Wi-Fi, and I'm like, I'm a nomad. Like, hardwiring doesn't really exist in my world, but we are going to have an amazing, powerful conversation as we always do. And I'm super excited for this guest because we just have this great energy together. And you know what? It's not even great energy together. She has amazing energy. So we have something very much in common in the way that we think about sales, although we have different approaches in how we teach sales. But we both believe most entrepreneurs think they have a sales problem, but they don't. They have an identity problem. They're still operating as the person who most people think and say, I hate selling. Instead of becoming the person who serves and builds relationships and knows exactly the greater good that they are serving through whatever their product or service is. So my guest today, Connie Whitman, is the CEO of Changing the Sales Game, has spent 40 years proving that sales isn't about pitching and closing. It's about love, care, and respect. I love that. And when she made that identity shift, which I think that she's told me she was born this way, so let's hear her tell us about that. But when she made what I say is that identity shift, everything changed for her. And now she spreads this beautiful message to her clients and to you guys today. So you're very blessed. So please help me welcome Connie Whitman.
Hi. Hey, Jen. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I love talking sales.
I know. And I love that because it's one of the dreaded things that happens to people. And growing your business is sales. People think that sales is like going door to door selling Bibles or, but it's all sales. But I sometimes will change it and use different words, but that's okay. Once you're really rooted and you have clarity on why your business exists, in my opinion, and the greater good that it serves, then you understand. I used to tell my agents, when I was, in real estate and I was coaching realtors, I used to tell them, I want you to think of the worst real estate agent out there. And then think about the clients that you love working with them. Then think it's almost your fiduciary responsibility to make sure they know how amazing you are and what kind of a job you are going to do. Think of it that way. And that really helped. So I'm going to stop babbling. Before I get started, is there anything you want to open up with?
I just want to comment on what you just said. So most of my clients happen to be banks, credit unions across the United States. And when I get in there, they think that client comes in, I have to offer a product. I said, maybe not. What do they need? Meet people where they are, right? Meet the client where they are. Yes, yeah. If you have a solution, absolutely. And I want to use your word fiduciary. That's very financial, right?
Yeah.
And I say to them, You know what you deliver. You know what your bank or credit union delivers, right? Do you know what the bad bank down the street or the bad credit union down the street, what their bankers or their credit union employees are offering? No, you don't. You know what you offer. Money
Exactly.
is important for people. It is your fiduciary responsibility as an expert in finance to help people with their money. It's a responsibility that we have to take seriously. So I like how you said that, because it's not about selling. It really is about responsibility. I like that word.
Yeah. And it's just,
Yeah.
it helps you shift how it's really all the what you're projecting onto it. So
100%.
project that love and that, taking care of people in the highest level. I just want to say
Absolutely.
hello to my friend, my Fritz, who actually was one of my agents that I trained on that methodology. Hi, hello, Fritz and Jim.
Hi, Fritz. Hi,
Guys.
Jim.
All right. So I actually have questions today, which I'm really glad. And thank God I don't drink, because I don't even have a lot of brain cells just from partying with these crazy clients of mine. So take us back to the moment you realized that the traditional sales world was making you like sick to your stomach. You just didn't like it. What was happening internally?
So I want to take a step back before I answer that, if that's okay, to
Of
just give
course.
some frame of reference for this, right? When I first graduated college, I got a job at it was Chrysler Credit. And so I was responsible for leasing. But now, Jen, you have to remember, back in the 80s, early 80s at that, leasing didn't exist. It was a very new entity in the car dealership world. So I remember getting deals in on the retail side, and they were business owners. Now, back then, you could literally write off the entire car payment and not have to track mileage and all that stuff. So I would call the salesman back and say, "Hey, dude, listen, this client really should be in a lease. Here's why." I listed the benefits, and then they would say two things. Remember, we didn't have computers back then, so they'd say, "I don't know how to do the calculation. Pull out your calculator. I'll teach you." So teaching, that's one of the big ones, right? Let's pull it out. I'll teach you. The second thing they said, "What do I say to the client now? I'm going to feel stupid." I said, "Feel stupid? You're going to save them money on taxes. Here's the benefits. Go back. I guarantee they're going to love you." So now remember, I'm a little admin person. I'm in administration. All of a sudden, we had a position open for sales at Chrysler Credit. So all these salesmen are calling me. "You're going to apply, aren't you?" And Jen, I swear to God, this was my reaction. "Apply for sales? Why would I apply for sales? I don't know anything about sales." And they were like,
Exactly.
"Yeah." So they were like, "Wait, what?" And I said, "Sales? What makes you think I could do sales?" They go, "What do you think we've been doing with you?" I said, "I'm helping you." They said, "Yes." What ended up happening is the dealership obviously made more money, right? Because now they were bringing in, they made a bigger spread. So it was, everybody wins in this. And I know we're going to talk about that later. So the salesman won, the car dealership won, but the
Yeah.
business owners won. So what do you think happened with those business owners, Jen? What do you think they started doing?
Buying.
And referring their
Oh,
friends.
referring. Yes, of
So
course.
the salesmen were like
Yeah.
making bank. So they're like, "You got to apply for this sales job." Here's
Yeah.
the kicker, right? It's back in the 80s, people. I went to my boss and I said, "Hey, I think I'm good at the sales thing. Can I throw my hat in the ring?" And he said, "No, you're a girl. They won't let you." It was very, very stodgy
A
industry.
girl.
Yeah, he said, "You're a girl. They won't let you." But here's the cool thing. And this is, when I tell that story, people are appalled. But here's really there's always a silver lining in my world.
Of
He
course.
saw something in me, Jen, that probably I didn't know. I was like 23 years old. What did I know? And he said, "You've already outgrown us. You need to get your resume together and look for a job." And he says, "And I'll look at your resume." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "You need to get out of here because this will hold you back. You're capable of so much more." Now, I didn't know that. So you see how even when a situation didn't work out as I had hoped, something better happened. And that's when I went and
Always.
got my licenses, my securities license, my insurance licenses. And then I ended up in the financial world, which is really where I belonged. And I was able to help people with their money, fiduciary, right? I really took that responsibility seriously. So now I'll answer your question. So now I'm in insurance, right after I get all my licenses. And I remember I'm 24 now, 25. And I met with a business owner and I sold him $1 million life policy. Now, back in now $1 million is like no big deal. Back then, that was huge. And I remember on cloud nine walking into my sales manager and I said, "I sold $1 million policy." And Jen, you know what his response was? "Why didn't you do two?" So I'm high, right?
Yes, they tighten the screw. They tighten the screw. It's never enough.
But that's when I realized dude, you do you, I'm going to do me. Because of that Chrysler experience, I knew I had to do the right thing for the client, love, care, and respect. So I think it was intuitive for me, yes. But when I saw the other side, I'll call it the ugly side of why didn't you sell 2 million? You have to honor the client, you have to honor yourself and be proud of what you accomplished, because the future, maybe a year later, he would have needed another $1 million policy because his life would have changed. So again, I think that people tell us what to do. That could be really dangerous.
Absolutely. So amazing. And I had an experience similar where I was so excited for this amazing restaurant management job in Manhattan. And I just knew I was so close. They brought me in a whole bunch of times. And then they actually just left me a voicemail and said that I was too, I wanted to say they said feminine or too girly, one of those words, for the job. Left that in a voicemail. So
can't make this stuff up.
So how did that moment, you've explained it in the how, right? What you did, what you went and licenses, you saw it in the direction, but how did it forge you internally in that moment? Like, how did that change you and decide how you were going to take a different path?
And it's interesting because when he was training me, I didn't like him at all, which is so funny, right? Because I mean, he was my boss. I had to report to him. But I remember sitting with clients and think, oh, I would never say that. Oh, that was terrible. Oh, that was a little direct. Now, I'm a direct person, don't get me wrong, but I felt he was abrasive. So I remember the first time we went in, I just sat and observed. He made a sale, but I knew the sale wasn't a good sale. So back in the day, this is again in the 80s, the agents were taking life insurance value to buy another life insurance policy and saying to the client, they'll both pay for themselves. What ended up happening, the one would run out of money and eventually the person wouldn't have any insurance, even though they had that policy for 40 years. Unconscionable. I didn't understand it at first. I just knew it, again, feeling. This is important,
Yes.
Everybody, feeling. We walked out of that first sale. Now, I don't know anything, right? I'm learning. And he said, well, that's your first sale. And I said, I don't want that sale. And then all the way back to the office, screaming at me, I'm a moron. I'm never going to survive. I'm an idiot. I should get out of this industry now. I mean, it was punitive all the way. And I said, I don't know what you did. It didn't feel right. Give that to one of the other new agents. I just don't want that business. I don't like it. It felt tarnished. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he thought I was a raving lunatic. That was the moment though, Jen. I thought, absolutely not. I will go in and I will just what I did at Chrysler. I'll educate my client. I will listen to them. I'll meet them where they are, and I'll truly provide what they need, how they need it, when they need it, and become a partner to them. And within 5 years, so doing it my way, love, care, and respect, right? Again, showing up for my clients within 5 years. Now, remember, I had no network back when I was in my 20s.
Yes.
Within 5 years, Jen, I was living off of referrals. So don't tell me this doesn't work. I've proven it for 42 years. I've been doing this. I prove it year after year after year. It has to be respectful. Sales has to be respectful of self, but also of the client.
Absolutely. I love that. And this is another thing I used to teach a lot in real estate. Create a raving lunatic fan base. People who are going out there saying, if you are not using Connie, if you are not using Jennifer, hello, Wendy. If you're not using Wendy, you're not going to have anywhere near as good of an experience. And so you don't have to sell. You just get to be you, right? And create the best experience you possibly can. I remember going in and talking people out of selling their home, presenting their options. And even I tell this story all the time. The people that gave me the most referrals were a for sale by owner that had just gotten an offer on their house before I got in touch with them, but I helped them through that process anyway, with all these things. And they moved to Florida, and for like 5-6 years, they were pretty elderly. It was like one referral after the other referral after the other. So I made more money on that transaction that never happened because I just consulted them and helped them and guided them. And the thing was, I was pretty new. I was learning so much. So it was a give and take, and it's not all about the money at the end of the day.
It's not, and it's funny what you said. Think about that for a second. If we do our sales process, whatever your sales process is, right? I have mine. That's what I teach.
Yeah.
Right? You have yours. Okay. You and I've talked about that. So you have your sales process. You keep your pipeline full. You make your however many appointments you need to have every week to hit your revenue dollars. If you have all of those good habits in place, and now you have another revenue stream, passive income coming in,
Yeah.
it's magic. So if you do your job and you do it well and you do it consistently every day, you're going to make money, right? You're going to meet your goals, your financial goals, your goals in your company, whatever it might be. But now you have this layer of passive income coming in that's unexpected, but it becomes really a beautiful experience.
Right. And you can actually pause and rest and still have business coming in instead of having to be on the, I've seen that the people who are just really focused on new, like, killing it, new, and not so much on the experience that their clients are having, they never really get to take a break.
Absolutely.
They're just constantly having to bring in new business, and not that you shouldn't be growing, but not in that hustle grind kind of way, where you get to actually enjoy the relationships. Just like me being here in Miami with my clients, I'm investing in them and they're investing in me, and it's just beautiful. I mean, I made such amazing contacts last night in this room by showing up here for them.
Showing up. That's the word. You got to show up authentically, or show up authentically. Don't try to be something you're not, right? I mean,
Right.
I think that goes without saying, right, Jen?
Exactly. Because, I show up here thinking Miami is like beachy. So I only have, this was an impromptu trip, and I was in the Dominican Republic. All my like fall, winter clothes is in New York. So I show up here so beachy. I feel so out of just fashion, because usually I'm very in line with what everybody, fashion. It's my kind of one of my things, but I'm just in my beach mode. And it feels so good to know that you are showing up on such a deep level for your clients and transforming them in ways. Doesn't matter what you're wearing, doesn't matter, nothing. Like, it just doesn't matter. You just have this essence, and people know it and they feel it, and then they tell everybody else in the world about it. And it's just
magic.
Super, it is magic. Because I remember for years I had to wear a suit and heels and all the things. And when I finally got to just let that go and be myself, that's where that magic really showed up.
Agree 100%.
So your philosophy is selling from love, care, and respect. It's not a sales tactic. It's an identity. So how do you become that person versus just knowing it intellectually? Like, you can teach people this and say that. So somebody out there, right? We just say to them, it's selling from love, care, and respect. How do they become that identity? Because it's hard, because I see what happens with people once I try to explain to some of my clients, kind of pretend like this, like you're doing a Q&A versus, doing a sales proposal and then handling objections. If you were on stage and people were asking you about your product and your service, you just light up and you know exactly what to answer, and you get all excited. So what I'm trying to say is, when we tell them this, to sell from love, care, and respect, but they know right now, oh, I'm trying to sell, all of a sudden something happens. So how do you get them past that awkward part where they just overthink when they're selling?
So a couple of things with that. I don't believe in pitches. I don't believe in scripts, right? So, I mean, I teach telephone skills that my clients, we need the landlines, right? We need to call our clients, email. There's got to be outreach. Follow-up is a critical piece of the sales process. So if someone is nervous on the phone, the instinct is, give me a script, the yes and the no. Horrifying, because now they're not skilled. Now you're giving them a script. What are they doing? They're reading the script. It is out of their comfort zone. It is not who they are, because it's not the way they speak, because someone else wrote it. So we've got to stop all that crap for right out of the gate and start to really reflect. Who am I? How do I show up? And what is the value? I think people forget. And I'll give you an example. I think we forget that we are value added in whatever industry you're in selling, right? We're value added because we have knowledge, we have experience, we know the solutions. I could hear your situation, your problems, etc., and say, oh, here's the connecting points. This is exactly what you need, right? That's my job as the expert. So there's value added in whatever the interaction is. But I think what we end up doing is We see someone else sell and we think, oh, that was so good. I'm going to do it that way. And then I try to be Jen, and it comes out inauthentic.
Yes.
The person feels it and they feel like there's no value added. So I'm going to give you an example. One of the exercises I do with my clients is I have the employees write their value statement, and I have a worksheet that they fill in. So and I put fun facts about you, not your professional crap, fun facts about you. So they go through who's a cook, who's an athlete, who's coaching their kids' team. And then what I do is I bring it down, right? I teach financial employees. So I said to them, like, one person they cook for their family on Sunday and they love trying new dishes and experimenting with different strategies, cooking strategies, and then honoring their family, bringing them together on a Sunday. They didn't use any of that in their value statement. I've been a professional for 35 years. Nobody cares. Okay. Nobody cares how long you've been doing what you've been doing. So I said, I would take it and I'd take that cooking and the family and I'd put it in. So the same skills I use for cooking strategy to come up with these fun dishes and delicious dishes, let me help you be the strategic partner for your financial well-being and become part of my family, right? So you see how you can weave in that secret sauce of you into your value statement. That's your essence. People need to know your essence. Not that I've been doing this for 35 years and I'm an expert. Nobody cares. They don't care. You heard the quote. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you say. They care how you make them feel, right? They remember you because of how you make them feel. That's the bottom line. Show up for the person, not for you. As soon as you take you out of the ego, our own ego out of the way, and we really make it about the client, magic happens.
Oh my gosh. So you just made me think of something too. I work with a lot of people transitioning from corporate into being an entrepreneur, and they get intimidated. I say, show up and tell them, like, this is so different and so new for me. I've never been in this position where I'm selling, and be honest, like selling, I don't even like selling. Like, just be honest, because first of all, everybody's been new at something. But when you are showing up as a human and just connecting on that deep level, that's where people want to work with you and they want to see that side of you. So I always tell people, like you said, they don't care how long you've been in business. And oftentimes when you're new at something, that's an advantage. That's another thing I used to tell brand new agents, like that. They know you don't have 50 listings. You're going to try to sell this house like a dog with a bone, because it's so important to you. There is an advantage to whoever you are. It's just a matter of figuring it out. Like, what is your edge? What do you bring to the table? I love how you said that about being a chef. Like, we used to do that exercise of like, list your whole history, everything you've ever done, and then figure out how does that benefit the people that you're working with. And no matter what your experience is, your experience benefits people if you share it.
Absolutely. And when you talk about the benefit, this is important too, because I see it with my bankers, right? They'll say, oh, I'm going to save you so much time. All right. I get it. It's a benefit. You're going to save me time. How? And as soon as we start explaining, hey, listen, business owner, you're running a million miles. You spend 3 hours a week I'm going to use banking, right? 3 hours a week coming into the bank. I could save you that time by putting this apparatus, this equipment in your office. We're going to save you time. We're going to save you money. The deposit gets in early. It's all about what's in it for that client, their real life. How can you talk about your solution, whatever that is, right? Whatever industry you're in. How is that solution going to fit into their life? Not your benefits that you think are important, but the benefits that are
exactly, because how do you know that time even matters? How do you know that I came in here because time was my issue? Right? And now you're spending all this time
talking about something that's irrelevant to me, and I'm like, oh, that's nice, right? Thanks, but I'll think about it. And then we get people politely, I'll think about it. Well, that's why you're getting an objection, because you didn't
find out what mattered to them, what they needed, what's important, what transformation they are looking for. And then sometimes they don't even know. So you ask the powerful questions and you get them to understand why they were thinking about doing this to begin with, how it's going to impact their life. And now you're cooking with gas. Because they have their own resistance built in. They're not just ghosting you. It's because they really didn't connect to why. And you definitely didn't, because you were too busy talking about time.
Exactly. Missing, and they were nodding. I go, yeah, they're bobbleheads. They're nodding. They're just trying to be polite, but they're not going to buy because you didn't hit their nerve of, oh my gosh,
Yes.
I need whatever that solution is. I need that. Like, where have you been all my life? That's the point. That's the love, care, and respect. Finding, understanding. Stephen Covey, his book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I love his
Yep.
fifth habit. They're all beautiful. I mean, they're all amazing. But the fifth habit says, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not as eloquent as him, Jen, but he says, seek to understand before being understood. So it means shut your
Yes.
mouth, ask your questions, understand the client. And then when you come to them with the benefit, you're coming from love, care, and respect because you paused and you were really present for them and you listened to them and you asked these great questions. When you get to the solution, it's so darn obvious that the client goes, yeah, like there's no
Exactly.
objections. There's no
Exactly.
friction, right? Does that make sense?
Yes. And then also you help them, and when you really understand, you help them. And, I'm talking about resistance again, but it's important because they came in, this is what they wanted. And then their own stuff comes up, but you can help bring them back to remember what they wanted, what was important to them, what they're looking to get out of this. And then the other thing is, I used to see this a lot. I don't know why so much real estate is coming up for me today. I guess because that's where I did the most sales coaching.
Yeah.
And because I touch on it now, but it's not, well, some clients I go deep, but that's not my thing. That is your thing. But I would say you don't walk into a house and be like, look at this amazing dining room. It is so big. You could fit it in. This wife might be like, I can't stand my in-laws. I do not want to be hosting every Thanksgiving, every Christmas. How do you know? How do you know? Shh.
Shut your mouth. Say,
Unless they said to you, yeah, I really want to be able to host, and if you didn't do your job, you're just walking around selling features that could be talking them out of the perfect house for them. It's not even about you're talking them out of the house and out of your own commission. Put that aside. This could be the perfect house for them. And yet you're going on and on about things that are, so
irrelevant to them. Isn't it
yes.
funny? And this is, Jen, this is not easy. So everybody listen, this is not an easy thing.
No.
I believe that when we're in front of a client, and I do believe this 90% of the time, the salesperson, the business owner, whatever industry you're in, I think that we really do want to help. We really do want to provide solutions. The issue becomes when we start vomiting information on, like you said, oh my God, look at this dining room. And oh, you can cook up a storm. I don't cook. I'm Italian, but I don't cook, right? I'm thinking I could care less if it has 12 stovetops. I ain't ever using them, right? So you're talking about, yes, it might be a beautiful feature for someone who's a chef. It might look pretty. By the way, I like a nice kitchen. I just don't use it. But anyway, right, I might think, oh yeah, that's pretty. My sister could come over and cook and bake with me, right? So again, make it relevant to the person. And the only way to do that is ask questions and shut your mouth.
Totally. So your win-win philosophy, and that if both parties don't win, the sale shouldn't happen. You've already kind of demonstrated that. But when did you get confident enough to walk away from money that didn't align? How did you make that shift?
Okay, so it's a couple of things. And years ago, it was probably in business about 5 years. So Jen, when you're starting out, and I had little ones at home, I had little kids, everything is expensive, right? The mortgage, the gas, everything. So I remember I met with the CEO, and I got there early for the meeting, new client I was referred to. And I talked to the tellers, because I care. It was before school, and what kind of shoes are the kids getting, right? Because I care. I like people. And then he walked in and walked down the same teller line, talking. Now, these kids, these young families, just about had money to buy shoes for the kids to go back to school. Picture it, right? He comes in talking. It's funny because this was lost on me for the guys listening. He had payment. He had just bought an Aston Martin. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but apparently it's a quite expensive car. So he went on and on, took me to the country club for lunch and all of this. I didn't like him, but I thought, all right, you don't always have to like the people you work with, right? You want to help these employees. But at the end of the day, he was trying to get them trained to sell the bank so that he can make a big bonus at the end and say, yeah, my employees have been trained. So using me to set his employees up for failure because eventually they would lose their job. And I thought, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. So I remember coming home and my husband said, so how'd it go? I go, I didn't like him, but I know I don't have to like every client I work with. But he kept talking about this Aston Martin. I go, what is it, like a $50,000 Mercedes? My husband goes, no, that's like a $120,000 car. And that moment I thought, oh my God, I cannot work with this imbecile. He's telling these women can't buy shoes for their kids. And he's going on and on about $120,000 Aston Martin. How dare you? That was the epitome of disrespect for me. And I said to my husband, I can't take this business. It was about a $25,000 gig. Let me tell you, it wasn't, I walked away from a lot. And my husband said, do you? I trust you. And I said, I can't, this will be soul sucking for me. You have to be honest. You see, I was honest with myself. I did come home and talk to my husband about it. The values didn't add up. You have to walk away, because if the values don't add up, you're not going to bring your A game. You're not going to be able to provide the solution because it's not a match. I wasn't the right solution for him. You see what I'm saying? I wanted to make a difference. He wanted to check off a box, not my gig. Is that a good example?
Totally. And it all begins with that clarity and knowing your values and understanding what you want, right? What kind of relationships you want, what kind of clients you want to work with, how do you want it to feel, all of that. And once you have that clarity, the other part is, you talked about it earlier, is that instinct. When you really have that clarity about what you want, who you are, and how you want to walk into this world and into every meeting, when you walk away from something like that, I truly believe that you are actually opening up space for something even greater.
Agree. Absolutely.
And I'm sure that
Jen, that would have, my time, money, the effort would have been exponential for me.
And you have no idea what you avoided. Like, you just don't know, right? We think about, well, I missed out on 25,000. That's what first will happen, but you have no idea what that actually could have cost you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really powerful. So tell us about ESP, the easy sales process, because here's what fascinates me. Most people think get a system and then succeed. And I love that you do kind of what I do. It's like, it's very free flowing, but yet structured, right? It's very much about your essence, but yet structured. You prove that it's become the person, and then the system will work. And I agree totally, because you said, I don't believe in scripts and this and that, but I believe that scripts can often help bring out the essence of somebody, some structure, right? Not necessarily a script. You write the script just so you know what you want to say, and then you figure out how you're going to say it, and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
So just talk about that.
So I believe to become good at anything, you need systems in place. Morning routines, night routines, habits, whatever those habits look like to you. You meditate, right? I meditate. All of these habits make us better. So I remember when I started my business, I had been in corporate sales, right? Financial sales for 20 years before I opened my business. And I remember, so now I'm sitting down and I asked for a package because I wanted to get laid off so I could open my own business. We had 2 babies at home, said to my husband, I can't do the corporate gig anymore. I want to start my own business. I'm not crazy, but I did have a 13-month package. All right. So we take this leap of faith. I remember sitting in my office saying, what am I going to teach? I have to teach something. So I remember sitting down and thinking, well, you've been successful for 20 years. Just start to write meditation, journaling, right? Start to write down. I didn't realize I was journaling back then, but it was like, start to write down what you're good at and how you approach a client, and see if you could find logic in what you do naturally. For me, it was intuitive, right? So but I wrote it down. I came up with a 7-step sales process. So now I want to go back though. You said something about the script. So I believe in systems. So when I'm teaching telephone skills, right? I have a template. I could write you the script, but somebody who's 23 is not going to talk like a 64-year-old chick, right? Where I might say, oh, Jen, it's lovely to see you. That would be weird for a 23. Oh, Jen, it's lovely to see you. It's weird. So you can't talk like me. I should not be talking like a 23-year-old. So I have a format, a system. You fill in your words, your greeting. What is the objective of the call? Be really clear. So the template provides clarity, but it's their personality, how they speak. Again, I teach them not to speak like sup, I mean, no slang, right? When you're greeting someone. So I try to teach the
No, yo, yo, yo.
yo, right? No. So some of the young ones, they go, really? I can't. I go, really? You can't, especially in the financial industry. No, right? But find your voice. And I think that's another thing we forget to do. Just find your voice. And I do believe in the structure. So I do have a template for that, but it's your
Yes.
words, not mine. Okay.
Love
So
it.
my 7 steps is the same thing. It's a system, it's logical, and it's easy. Now, executing, not so easy, because like my first step is preparation. There's a lot going on under preparation. Do you have your questions prepared? Do you have agendas prepared? Do you know your products and services? Do you know all the benefits, right? Are you organized? Is your desk a freaking hot mess when you go to a client? Is your briefcase papers coming out of it, right? All of that is under preparation. There's a lot going on there, right? Step 2 is building rapport. Value statements, your behavioral style. Like I created my own behavioral style, but Myers-Briggs, DISC, predictive index, all of them, Clifton, whatever the Clifton one is. Very important you understand how you're wired so that you can understand how others are wired.
Absolutely.
Now we can modify and flex. Again, people go, oh, that makes so much sense. It's a lot harder to do when I'm meeting someone and within 30 seconds, I'm trying to determine their DISC, Myers-Briggs, or predictive index, right? So again, a lot going on under building rapport. So do you see how the 7 steps, it's a system, and I clearly define all of the sub skills under that system and how to perfect it. And then the last thing I'll say about this, step 5 is presenting solutions. People come to me and say, I need help presenting my solution. And I'll say to them, okay, let's talk about the previous 4 steps. The real problem usually is their questions and listening are off. So when they present, they're not presenting the right solution. It's a mismatch, and then they get objections. So do you see the system's important? People think I need help with presenting. You probably do, but let's look at those previous 4 steps because they build on each other. Logic, systems, they work, but you have to come through. So you can't talk like someone else. And that's another thing I will share. If you're selling your business, whatever your business offers are, customize. People want to have the experience. So I have my 7-step sales process that I teach, but there's so much more than that. So depending on who's in front of me, sometimes I say, you're advanced for this. We really just need to work on presentation skills, right? As I get to know them. So instead of my package, I'm like really going into this. Let's do a couple of coaching calls. It'll be more time effective for you. I'm making money. You're good. Again, the win-win. See how the win-win shows up?
Yes.
Customize what you're offering. The only way to do that, shut your mouth and listen to the clients and have good questions prepared.
So good. So good. You just have more structure to what I think. I love it. So good.
Oh, I am an organized freak. My husband laughs. I go, I need paper clips. I go on my desk, sit on my desk, right hand drawer on the left side. He goes, you're a weirdo. I got too much to do.
This is so good. This leads me to my next question. So you say that 90% of successful business development is preparation, right? But most people skip it because they're too busy. What is happening there? What is happening psychologically?
People want to procrastinate because if I have to do my business development and I do the recon, right? I go out and I look at their website, LinkedIn, see what they're all about, right? Understanding, can I help them? Are they a good prospect in the first place, right? You got to do a little vetting on the front end. People, that's too much work. I'm just going to get out there and pound the pavement. I have personality. People like me. Okay, that's a great thing. But do you know that the client you're speaking with actually needs your stuff? So if you don't do the prep, it's like we're screaming into the wind and it's just dissipating. You're not landing anywhere. So if we can become clear, right? And system, how do you do your business development? I know how I do it, right? So how do you do your business development? Get locked and loaded, find out the real clients that are right for you, and then start to nurture them, ask for referrals, whatever. All of that is preparation. So 90% is the prep. When you get in front of the client, you are so ready and they are so ready for you because you already know. Perfect match. We are the perfect match. It's going to be a beautiful experience for both of us. You're going in with that level of confidence. I'd rather you do preparation and do 10 meetings filled with preparation. You probably get 5 people buy from you. Let's say 50%. If you're semi-skilled, 50% will buy from you if they're the right client. When we just go out and do banging on doors for 50 people and you get zero, that effort to me is wasted, and you'll never get that time back again.
Yeah. And you said something else that's really important about, well, I'm a people person and people really like me. I believe that rapport, people that focus so much on building rapport, and I'm talking about the kind of rapport of like looking in the background and be like, I can't really see much in your background, but oh, you ski? I ski too. And your daughter went to UCLA, so did mine, right? Spending time on that. I think those people get ghosted more than anybody else, because they're just going to say, yeah, this sounds great. I just have to, do a couple of things and I'll get back to you. And now you're chasing and chasing and chasing, because all you did was build rapport and you actually didn't find out what matters to them and what transformation they're looking for and how you can be the bridge to the solution or the future that they are looking for, because you focus so heavily on that. And I'm not saying go in and be a jerk, but that's not the most important part. It goes back to exactly what you said earlier. And preparation is definitely a huge part of that.
Yeah, you got to be
authentic.
I think the more you show up prepared, the more authentic you can be, because you're just confident in all that data and information you have. When you show up prepared, it's like easy peasy. The whole thing becomes easy peasy.
Yeah. And then all you're doing is getting the story behind it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we out of time?
So you've been... No. So you've been doing this for 25 years. You're a 4-time best-selling author, thousands of clients. What is the pattern you see people in who transform versus those who stay stuck?
So a couple of things, I think, especially for business owners. You started the business because you really believe you have something significant, right, to share with the world. So I think double down on that experience, because that's the love, right? Love, care, and respect. I know I have something really, really, really good that Jenna needs, and I can make her life so much better with fill in the blank, right? So if you already know that this stuff is good, hopefully you believe in yourself, right? So believe in yourself. You have to believe in whatever it is that you're selling, creating, producing, and then that you believe that the client, that you have to believe that you want to be respectful with yourself and with the client. My story of the Aston Martin guy, right? He was disrespectful. That just didn't fit with me. So again, I think if you believe in self, you believe in what you're offering, and you believe in the client and their situation, and you stop chasing the money and start chasing the experience for the client and what you bring to the table, that energy, that love, it overflows. They feel it. So one last thing I'll say, think of an iceberg, Jen, and I always teach this too. The tippy top, that 5% of the iceberg that's out of the water, that's our conscious mind. 95%, right, is submerged under the water that we can't see. That's our subconscious. You, your clients, your prospects, we're all playing in that subconscious realm. So when you show up with a full heart and respect in your system, and you're prepared, and all these things we've talked about today, that subconscious connection, that energetic connection becomes so real, so fast, that the whole process speeds up, right? And you got to be all the things we're talking about, but you have to believe in self, and you have to be respectful and believe that you can help that client. Don't chase the money. That's the danger.
No. And that energy of chasing is just not good. So
that's where the ick comes in.
Yes. So if someone's listening right now and they're tired of feeling icky about sales, what's that first identity shift they need to make today?
I think really sit down and do the fun fact sheet. That's what I would do. What are your real values? What is really important to you? And then whatever you're selling, whatever industry you're in, what type of client matches you? And I could give a tangible example. I have a client, she's a financial advisor at one of the bigger firms. And there's an older gentleman who's retiring that she's kind of partnering with. And he really likes her. You know where they met? They met in a Bible they're financial advisors, right? He's an elderly gentleman. She's young. She's 30. They met in a Bible group, and they became friends first. They, were reading passage or whatever they did with the religious stuff. That was such a deep connection that now she's reaching out to clients that are more spiritual in nature, and she's having great success. Her values, she's living and breathing her values and bringing that forward and finding those same people, and she's able to help them with their money. So I think that's the piece. You have to pause. What is your core value? Mine is love, care, and respect. I will never disrespect. You could be rude to me. I will politely say, I don't like this conversation, so I'm going to end it politely, and I'm going to walk away. Right? You be gracious about it. Don't allow people to treat you like crap, but I won't retaliate. What's the point of that? So what are your values? And then live and breathe them, and you'll find those like-minded clients. It happens. It's the universe at work. It's always working in our favor.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And just go inward, know who you are, know the value that you bring, and communicate it as loudly as you can to as many people as you can. And the people who are your people will come. I totally believe that. And then it's not sales. No longer sales.
I think sales, and this is another thing too. Think of this as well. If you have the solution, call it the solution provider, providing a service. Don't call it sales.
Yeah.
Who cares, right? It's a word.
Right.
But if you really show up to honor that client and help them, and that is your motive, it's not about the money. Yeah, we're going to make money. Oh, by the way, we can make really good money. But you got to show up first. And one other thing, people I think get the money shift. We all have money issues, by the way, subconsciously it's happening. Get over it, because again, stop chasing the money, start chasing the relationships. I'm going to say it's going to work out better for you. And then the money comes and comes and comes. And then we could do so much more out there, right? That's that ripple effect of love. So I think we have to show up first, be authentic, honor the client, and the magic happens. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. You make it harder than it is, Jen.
I agree. So if someone wants to work with you, wants to utilize some of the tools, I think we're going to have links on the replay here for anybody that's watching. But how do they get in touch with you? How do they find these things?
So, however you roll right out there. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn, just Connie Whitman, but changingthesalesgame.com. I have a free communication style assessment. It's kind of cool. It gives you take a little quick quiz, and then you'll get 2 reports. The first report is your highest score, which is like your natural communication superpowers. Important to understand that. But then this is the more important report if anyone chooses to take it. Again, it's right on Changing the Sales Game. You'll see a link at the top, communication style assessment. Click it. The secondary report is the lowest score. That's usually a blind spot. So when I'm communicating, as an example, an architect, an engineer, a computer programmer, I have to shift big time my energy for them. I'm still me, but I'm shifting my energy and how I deliver it, because that's what they need from me. So I think read that secondary report with a keen eye, because it's usually a blind spot. And if they want to email me for a quick question, Connie@changingthesalesgame.com. I check my emails. My assistant does not do that. I'm all about relationships. So I'm the one who engages.
Fabulous. You're amazing. I love everything about you. I love talking to you. We could just go on and on forever. And it feels so good when, these are things that we both just knew instinctually. And then when you go out and you hear different snippets of it in the world from people that you respect, just, I don't think we need validating, but it does. It validates, those gut instincts. And I think that these are most people's gut instincts, but there's so much noise out there. So that's my first recommendation, is really get to understand who you are and why your business exists, what greater good it serves. And if you are looking to transition into business, or you're in business, I highly suggest that you work with somebody to give you the kind of support that you need. Connie is an amazing person to support you with sales. I'm here to help you if you want to transition and actually have a business model that within 6 months is up and running. You can DM me or drop ready in the comments, and I'll send you that blueprint, or just reach out and let's hop on a call. So thank you so much, Connie. You're amazing.
You. I love you.
Everybody, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy Bodhi Day, Happy New Year. I try to think of all of them and I always miss something. But yeah, this is just such a special time of year. So no matter what you're doing, I've spent holidays alone too, and it's still special because this is the time where you can just reflect and plant those seeds for what you want in your life. And thank you all so much. Love, light, and prosperity, and see you all soon.